Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to What's Up With That, the show that brings you interesting people, places, cultures, and subcultures here in the Silicon Valley and beyond. And tonight, our discussion is on witchcraft. In the modern era, the image of witches is a lady in a black dress that runs around and scares children. But long ago, that wasn't the way it was. Today, over 200,000 people have looked beyond the myth to reclaim this earth-born religion. To help us with the discussion today and to enlighten us on witchcraft are two people from the national Wiccan magazine, the Pagan, Muse, and World Report. K.C. Anton is the manager, and Deborah Snavely is the editor. Welcome, Deborah and K.C.
Hi.
How you doing?
Great.
What is a witch? What's a witch?
A witch is someone who is aware of and connected to the cycles that we live in, all of us do. The cycles of the sun and moon, the cycles of life, the agricultural cycles, and the forest-based cycles of the seasons. And connects to those cycles, works with them to work for self-improvement, to better themselves and their community, often working in healing ways for themselves, their neighbors, and the planet.
So unlike a lot of other traditional religions, it's very much a self-motivated kind of system or a religion. It's not as structured as some of these older, well, I don't know if it's older or younger, or shall I say, more traditional religions.
Well, that all depends. You do have some witchcraft is multi-denominational. The terms that we happen to use is tradition for it, and there's hundreds of them. Witchcraft happens to be mostly goddess-oriented religions. Within that, you also have practitioners that, like us, believe in male and female duality within deity. There's much like yin and yang, easy way to explain it for most people. And even within that, then you have multiple traditions within that. The one that we happen to work with is Gardnerianism, and it's one of the more rigid, if you will, of them. The other ones use a term that's eclectic, which is the free form.
They gather pieces from a variety of sources, some of them Reconstructionist, going back to pre-Christian customs, folk customs that have survived in Europe, and some of the rituals and poetry that are used now are simply developed through gnosis, through individual insights.
Yeah, it's really interesting. How long, or wait, actually, how does someone attempt to become a witch? If somebody was to come up to you, and this is something that probably happens a lot. I mean, if you're a self-proclaimed witch, I'm certain that people are pretty curious about, you know, what witchcraft is about. If someone was to come up and you say, you know, I want to become a witch. What do I do?
Well, the commonest answer is, if you live in a major metropolitan area in the United States, is to refer people to some of the public classes. They're essentially a combination of introductory classes, and for those who might be interested in pursuing it more seriously, they can lead to potential spiritual teachers. In the Bay Area, several classes are run in different parts of the community a number of times a year under the label generally called Wicca 101. And it's an introductory class.
Wicca 101.
It teaches
Wicca 101. Okay.
the basics of deity, the basic principles of do what you will but harm no one, including yourself.
Exactly.
Well, that's a big point. I mean, that is the foundation, I guess.
Yeah, that's about the only thing that you'll find going throughout witchcraft is that one concept of do what you will, but don't harm anyone, including yourself. Everything else is up for grabs.
And wouldn't it be wonderful if everybody practiced that, everybody worldwide?
And it's very diverse. When you really stop and think about it, I mean, there's a lot of people where just because of that one belief, they're vegetarians. Because if you're not going to harm anything, they take it to the point of, I'm not going to harm an animal by eating it. We go into other ideas with that, such as what a lot of people ask you, can you do this spell for me when they find out you're a witch? Oftentimes we don't, because if you're harming none, that means you're not manipulating anybody.
Right.
Manipulating someone is removing their power of choice. Taking away someone else's choice is just that, limiting their freedom, and that's a form of harm.
So do you ever have a person that comes up to you who, for some reason or other, has been attracted to witchcraft because of media representations? And you know how poorly media representations of witchcraft, we have The Craft, and we have all of these kind of hocus pocus is really almost pathetic.
The witches.
And the idea of putting they have to have a child to put in this cauldron. These are images that are pretty far out. And I would think that the way that people are, the media is going to, there's someone going to be out there that's going to be affected by this, and they're going to come up to you and, have this crazy image of witches and say, I need to have this power. I need to become a witch because I want to cast an evil spell on somebody. I have a mother-in-law or something that she's got to go. You know what I mean? And I zap her. And
usually it's love spells. It's teenage love spells has got to be the #1 request. I want this boy to like me. Oh man.
But think of the self-esteem issue. I mean, it's like that's a major issue.
But it comes right back to what we were just talking about, harm none. Right. And that's one of the first things that we might not put it in exactly those words, but we'll get it across to them, think about this. And you are going to, whatever you put out there, almost any religion has the idea of the golden rule. What you put out there is what you're going to get back.
Exactly.
So if you're putting out there that I want to control this person so that they have to love me, no matter what.
Right.
Nobody
wins.
That's some serious stuff.
Yeah, right. Exactly.
When you do that mundanely, they prosecute for it.
And it's even stronger. Some witches do believe in karma. That's in many of the traditions. They believe that whatever you put out there is going to come back 3 times.
Yeah.
And that's
because
a heavy
of that, that's our form of karma.
Right.
For most of it comes from what's called the Western mystery traditions. Northern Europe is where a lot of this stuff comes from. Karma doesn't exist in Europe. It's an Indian and Eastern concept.
Yeah. That's been co-opted in the modern times because it describes the concept so well.
But the getting it back 3 times, whether it be in this lifetime or not, because we do believe in reincarnation. That's one of our afterlife ideas. Because we look at the world as a whole and as a circle,
so
and life itself is.
Meaning that
life is a cycle.
Okay.
Everything's cyclic, just like how you have the seasons. You go from summer to spring, or spring to summer, fall, winter. Your life works the same way. You start as you're born, you go to a child, you become an adult, you die, and you're just because you died that you're moving on to another life.
Okay.
And your life doesn't necessarily end, and that's what spirituality is all about.
Right, and that's kind of a common spirituality that really goes through all religious types. Just off the top of my head, how long have you been practicing witchcraft or the craft?
The concepts I've been living for about 10 years. The way I'm practicing now as a Gardnerian, I've been doing for about a year as an initiate.
And what is a Gardnerian?
That's someone, Gardnerian comes from the name of a man who in the 1940s was supposedly working, and it's been documented that he was working with
a coven
in Britain, and at that time you still had witch laws. And those were repealed about 1956.
What was a
51.
witch law?
51, excuse me.
Britain had an anti-witchcraft law that was still on the books dating back to the Middle Ages.
Really?
Yes, and it was not repealed until 1951. It was against the law.
What would they do to you if they caught you?
I don't know.
They still had a lot of the old laws still on the books. So, I mean, in some shires you could go for burning. That's still on the books.
So this brings up an interesting issue then. In historic terms, what happened to the pagan religions once Christianity came in and the Roman Empire came in and fluxed its muscle and made it the national or the international religion, Roman Catholicism? What happened to the pagan religions? Did they go and hide? Did they?
Paganism as a whole is an umbrella. It's much like how Buddhism or Christianity is an umbrella for containing a lot of denominations. Paganism as a whole holds a lot of different belief systems.
Right. So when Rome was going on, the religion that was practiced in Scotland or the eastern parts of Britain might not have been the same religion that was practiced on the other side of the empire in the Alps.
Is country.
Yeah.
Right. It
So
was
several
local gods.
little-
Yeah.
But so it was a lump term. Paganism came to mean anything that isn't the Roman religion.
In modern days, what you have now is what's called neo-paganism, meaning new or remade paganism. The concepts, the idea forms are from pre-Christian ideas, we feel. Just because of archaeological and historical findings, we find that fertility religions were pretty much around. That's
Well, right.
And that's what Wicca as a religion is.
Right.
It's a fertility religion.
Well, it's interesting if you look in even religions that are not, well, not Christianity, these fertility kinds of issues come up. In
They're there in
Japan, it's
Hindu.
very, very erotic in Japan. In Japanese art, ancient Japanese art, symbolism, the Japanese fertility mask with this long phallic nose, and it was worn at the rites of spring, which also, you know, the planting of the seeds, and then there's the stories about the Greeks that would actually have performed sexual acts at the time of planting the seed.
An act of sympathetic magic is what that boils down to, the idea that they know this is how people are fertile, and by doing it out in the fields, maybe they can transfer that fertility to the fields.
So it's this whole energy thing that's going on here.
And it's realizing that you're part of the whole. I'm part of you, she's part of me, I'm part of the world also. And my actions impact the world. They impact the trees, the natural world around us.
In the same way that what happens in the world around us affects all of us. When it rained and rained and rained the other month, by gum, it affected everybody in the state something fierce. In the same way, the actions that we take have their ripple effect.
What are the tools? We have here an altar, and there's lots of different little interesting things. And these are tools, I guess, that you use in your rituals and I guess in your daily lives as well. And I think for the viewers it would be interesting if you could explain what these things symbolize and what you do with them.
Okay. The main idea to remember is an altar with any spirituality that you happen to practice happens to be a place that, okay, I'm coming before deity here.
It's a
This
set of
is a sacred
symbols.
space. You can do that anywhere. Doesn't matter what it is. Doesn't have to be on a table. And these are just like you said, they're tools. With any religion, what you're dealing with is getting into the unconscious mind. I want to tap into the things that are tapping into the world around me. So these things help me do that. And all of the tools is symbolism. I can sit here and practice my religion. These happen to make it easier.
Right. It's easier to see them than to visualize them, and we can then go ahead and focus on
I think it's really important that we look at these because, again, you go back to this media image of witchcraft, and they've got this smoky room, and they've got bat tongues and this stuff, and you know, all this kind of, it pollutes the whole concept. And from talking to you and talking to you, I was really excited that you were coming on, and
thank you.
Actually, not knowing anything about it, feel completely enlightened by it, and it's a wonderful thing. And I think that still, though, as I was talking to friends of mine, I said, well, we're having some people coming on who practice witchcraft, and it's like, oh, are they going to bring in the eye of the newt and the, I don't know, the toe of the frog? And
Shakespeare has a lot to
well,
answer
you know
for.
what I'm saying. You know, I mean, it's like, this is what people think. This is a very simple thing here.
Well, this represents a set of the 4 elements that are used as 4 of our basic ways of describing life in Wicca. The elements, they're actually originally described by Aristotle. Earth, water, fire, and air. Earth is represented here in a little dish of salt. And the pentacle is just a traditional element of protection, and in fact is one of the 2 symbols often referred to as the Seal of Solomon, although the 6-sided one is more commonly referred to, but both of these have been called that.
Right.
We have a dish of water, plain old tap water. There's a couple of marbles in it. They look a little bit like the planet Earth, and so we dropped them in for good luck. We have a small incense burner, incense being one way to carry scent on the air to represent the element of air, and then a candle for the element of fire. And those are our 4 elements. Here they have representatives on the altar, and in the course of that, salt plus water is the water of the ocean, and that's the same proportions of water, as most of you know, that makes up 97% of the human body.
So when do you use these things?
Generally, Wicca is a female religion in the idea that it's a lunar religion. We worship during the full moon.
The cycles of the moon.
And the cycles of the moon, they're also worked in with the cycles of the year, which are solar holidays. But primarily, Wicca is acknowledges the female movement of the earth, if you will. And with that, you know, that's why we have like the chalice, which is the symbolism for a female, the goddess.
Right.
And that's why we have the wand also, because that's very phallic. I mean,
A way of moving energy.
I can, and what this is for symbolizing fertility, and the maleness of depositing seed.
You know, it's that bewitched thing.
Yeah, you think of wand, but it's all it is.
So actually, those images that have come down have just been polluted and.
A great many of them have been turned on their head.
And another one that a lot of people hear of, just because it's so well known. I mean, you have Wicca books all over the place now, especially with the New Age.
Yes.
And so you can get any book and you'll read about these, and like with the athame is normally a blade. And it's going to be a black handle blade historically. All it is it's another male symbol that's going to be for directing energy, for usually cutting and making an immediate change.
Okay.
That's all you're intending it for.
So when would you use that? Let's say, give me an example of a situation that you might use.
The simplest one is in casting circle, where in a normal Christian religion, for example, they build a physical place, a church, they consecrate it, and they make it holy space as a permanent thing. In Wicca, we set up sacred space every time that we circle. We call it between the worlds. We set up a boundary, and it's not actually just a circle, it's a sphere of space in which we move to perform ritual, and it's between time and time, it's between physical space. I'm not saying we drop out in a globe like in Star Trek and start floating around, but that is the
also
emotional energy space in which we operate.
That's why you lose it in Hollywood too. It's not as exciting as it sounds.
Right.
You know, oftentimes we do worship outside because it's a nature religion. It's a fertility religion.
Right.
It falls into the category.
And so,
you know,
I see.
Now, California, I'm going to circle inside my house sometimes because it gets cold at night. When the moon's out, I don't feel like freezing my little buns off.
But for casting circle,
practicality of witchcraft, okay, that's very important.
When we cast circle, we generally use the athame to point the energy with which we describe a line to represent the circle that is the boundary of the sacred space that we're setting up.
And what you're creating is
and that's energy movement.
It's a circle representing the womb of the goddess, a birthplace.
Okay.
You are rebirthing yourself during this spiritual experience.
Do you wear any particular kind of clothing when you do this? Is there people?
That depends upon the group you're with.
Okay, so
it varies
pretty
by
much
tradition.
And it depends upon the weather.
Yeah. Well,
There are traditions.
No, go ahead.
There are traditions that work nude, called skyclad, meaning clad in the sky, and no more obscene than the naturists at Lupin Nature Park.
Right.
Yeah. And what you got to remember too is when you're doing it,
in a group.
you're not even there in a sexual mind. You got to remember, most people.
That's important.
You can think you're there for a spiritual reason. And the reason you're naked is because you're coming there with perfect love and perfect trust. And you're leaving everything behind. It's difficult to hide things when you're not wearing any clothes. That's the main concept that you're doing it with. It's not because we're there for an orgy. No. And what you're dealing with is when people do come, if you do have any sexual energy there, It's usually fun and enjoyable, such as yes, you can have some horseplay even among friends, such as you normally would.
Right.
Kidding around, watching TV shows or anything like that. You get the same kind of thing here.
Right.
But if it's inappropriate and it's taking away from a sense of spirituality, then most of the time I've been to places where
or you'll be asked
men and women have been asked to leave because it's inappropriate.
I can imagine that you could have some people, like I was saying before, that
they
really
read about naked in circle when
exactly.
they go,
it's
yeah,
like,
baby.
we're going to go out and have a big old, good old time here getting down. What's up with that? You know, they come here and it's this
quiet little worship.
It's very boring. It's one of the reasons why we have the Wicca 101 classes, so that you can come in and realize, nope, we don't
Get
sacrifice.
past the stereotypes.
Nope, we don't have orgies.
Do you have a particular person then? Do you have a priestess or a priest who is in charge of teaching the new person, or are they given a mentor? Is there a kind of order that goes along to become educated? You say Wicca 101. I mean, do they come
what
to
that
a class
it was die here. Okay.
Oh, please don't.
What Wicca 101 started as a joke. That's why it was named that.
Right.
But it was something to let the public know that wanted to find out, coming with an open mind and saying, this is what we practice. It's much like going to a church service and sitting in and asking the priest, well, why are you doing the incense that way?
Yeah.
Right.
You know,
The
is there a
Mormons
reason?
have
Is there a
teaching
purpose?
circles.
Well, exactly. Everybody does.
You know, and you have prayer groups that come together so that they can learn more about their spirituality. That's what these classes are geared for. That's the way we learn.
Right.
All of us are considered priests and priestesses.
There's no intermediary between
So there's no hierarchy within.
No. You have people that have been doing this a little longer, so they're going to be more educated about it.
You don't have a pope?
No.
No.
Well, because that's one of the
Not
things
even
that
a council of bishops.
we actually have.
Darn! You mean you don't have everybody telling you what you have to do?
No, that's one of the things is sacerdotalism is where the priest is coming between you and God. That's a term for it. And that's the only way you're able to do it. Now, the Protestants come to the point of saying, well, you can read the Bible yourself and figure things out too, but they still have a clergy that is
interprets it.
interpreting for them.
Right.
What we happen to believe in is, no, you can have direct contact with deity.
But do you have any type of book? You know, the Christians have the Bible. Is there any type of teaching?
You have there's things that have been handed down, but it's mostly you come right back to if you do any studies with Eastern or Western mysteries traditions, it's like if you're a Buddhist, if you're a Hindu, if you're dealing with any of these and even higher Christian concepts, anybody who's teaching you is going to say, what do you think? Right. Go home, think about it.
Yeah.
And that's what meditation is. That's all it is thinking about it. And on a gut level, realizing, oh, that's the answer.
Right.
There are some better books that describe groups of religions. Margaret Adler's Drawing Down the Moon. The second edition is rather dated now because it came out in '85, and the third edition is not yet out, expected sometime in the next 2 years. But it is a good overview of pagan religions generally. And there are some others, Janet and Alex Stuart Farrar, I'm forgetting it, Stuart. The Farrar's books are what you might call mainstream Wicca.
Those interested, take notes here.
And for people that are by themselves, Scott Cunningham is a classic author also.
Sorry about that.
Go ahead.
I have a question I think that's probably really, I guess, sticks with me in thinking about witchcraft. Do you find problems in proclaiming yourself as a witch? Do you find that there is any kind of, I don't know, harassment? Is the law different for witches than it is? What are some of the social issues that face a witch? I mean, you know, you go into the post office or you go to some place, you go into a police department and say, I'm a witch.
Number one, you're not going to be doing that. I mean, do you walk into a store and say, I'm a Catholic?
Right.
Hi.
Hi, I'm the Pope.
No.
Right.
Go ahead.
Well, some of the issues that come up range, and it depends largely on where you are. I must say that most people are not proclaiming themselves a witch. Even if they're very public about it, they'll generally, yes, and some people react to that. You can run into problems. People have experienced job discrimination up to and including firings. People have lost custody of their children or not been granted custody of their children. There's a case in Rhode Island of a woman who had 3 foster children taken away from her, despite her having had them in good condition and taken care of them for more than a year, I believe.
And probably with this,
but a very public news article.
Probably taking care of them extremely well.
Yeah. But it's people already have their own definitions of what it is.
Exactly.
And when usually the best way to deal with it,
what's up with that?
It's you have to stop and say, okay, what's your definition of a witch? What do you think I am? And it's oftentimes where you run into problems, it's with people that already know you, and then they think that they've come up with some deep dark secret.
Okay, so does with people?
Usually, all I do is present to them. You've known me for umpty-ump time. As an example, my family has a lot of difficulty with my spirituality, but at the same time,
Well,
I can present it to them and say, you've known me all my life. You know I'm a moral person. You know I'm an ethical person.
Right.
How does your outlook towards me change? How have I changed? Just because I have now told you what, and put a name to what my beliefs are.
Exactly. I mean,
and I'm still the same person.
Much more spiritual and much more earth-oriented than what they would have ever could perceive.
And it's also, you still use a lot of other training that you have. I still use a lot of Christian ideas within my paganism and my witchcraft. And it doesn't mean that I don't acknowledge Jesus as a wise teacher. He has some wonderful ideas that went right along with the same ideas, just said in a different way as in the other great teachers that I happen to acknowledge as a pagan. You know, it's just because I don't happen to follow him doesn't mean that I don't agree that he made a major impact.
Right. Well, I want to thank you both for coming on the show. That's all the time that we have. I think that the audience is certainly much more enlightened about witchcraft. And we'd like to thank you all for listening. Come back next week. And if you're walking around and you're wondering about something and you just have to sit there and say, hey, what's up with that? Well, turn into What's Up With That, and we'll let you know what's going on. Thank you very much, K.C. and Deborah. We'll see you later. Good night.